All right, what's up, guys and gals and fight fans and fight fanatics? So, got a little jerry-rigged setup here, but let's hop right into it. Of course, I am Kyle. This is the Martial Arts Talk podcast. Forgive, the headphone setup. It's a work in progress here in the new place. But anyway, right down to business. So I'm going to go all the way back to the Shobox card on the 11th. Going to talk about UFC Brooklyn and the Manny Pacquiao and Adrian Broner fight that happened just last night. Let's dive into it. First fight, reaching all the way back, the Shobox card. Devin Haney, he looked really good. Clearly dominated the fight. Ndongeni was just never really in the matchup. Was super tough though. I mean, hats off to him. He took some huge shots, got dropped in the second round by a nice right hook. But Devin Haney could have cruised to a win. I mean, he was up on the cards, but he kept going for it, trying to get the knockout. I see why people speak so highly of him. I'm very excited to see what he does next. Don't know about the contender talk though. Let's not rush it. In boxing, it is very much more of a slow, steady, bring you up kind of pace, unlike in MMA. So if he doesn't fight, one of the top guys in the world in his next fight, that's completely fine by me. I'm sure there's somebody out there who could be even step above Ndongeni. But yeah, got a clear-cut 10-round unanimous decision. Great showing for him. I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes next. Also on that card, Ruben Villa. Ruben Villa looked very good. I didn't really know anything other than his name going into this card. Never seen him fight before. Slick southpaw. Pure boxer. Looked really good. I'm gonna have to keep my eye out for him. I was very, very happy with that fight. A lot of people will get bored when you're watching, like the straight boxers compete, but I like a guy who can just go out there and pick his shots and take his opponent apart very clearly. I mean, there looked like there was a few moments in that fight where he was thinking, okay, maybe I can go for it, but instead of overcommitting and wasting energy, he was like, all right, no, I don't have it, and he backed off. So, shout out to Ruben Villa. I'm going to have to pay attention to him. And also a Frank Sanchez competing on the card. It was a squash match. We'll have to really see where he goes from there if, he's going to be something, because the opposition there just wasn't it. Also, Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant looked really good in beating Jose Uzcategui. Started out strong, dropped him twice within the first few rounds. I mean, was just about as clean cut as he could possibly get. Did slow down a little bit over the later rounds, but I mean, you could chalk that up to emotion, the opportunity, going so hard looking for the finish early on, but he looked good. Uzcategui, a lot of the commentators said, he looked a little bit more brittle than usual. I could kind of see what they're going there. It was only the first time that I've seen either one of these guys fight, though. I got to be honest. Don't want to BS you. We'll look forward to seeing, maybe they do a rematch. 168 is kind of, there's not a whole lot going on in that division as far as like big name stars right now. I mean, you've got Callum Smith up there. You've got the Eubank and James DeGale fight. So this very much is a division that is wide open for the takings. Like, you have a couple of solid wins on television, and you can catapult yourself past the other guys. Now, looking back, what else? Caleb Plant, Devin Haney. We'll move on to this weekend's fights. Starting off with Friday, there was a ESPN Plus, Brian Jennings taking on Oscar Rivas, and also on DAZN, Demetrius Andrade taking on Andrade Akavov. And Rivas stopped Brian Jennings in the 12th and final round. I mean, it was very much, kind of a so-so fight going on. Not a whole lot happening. A lot of, trading some jabs and some power shots here and there. But Rivas listened to his corner, went for it, stopped, 53 seconds in the 12th round? I do believe that's correct. 54 seconds into the 12th round. you know, in a time where the heavyweight division is very popular and there's a lot of names floating around, a lot of money getting thrown around with these TV deals and streaming deals, big performance like this is what a guy like Oscar Rivas needs. People in the boxing community know who Brian Jennings is. Win for him. Hats off to him. Also, on that, Shakur Stevenson. Damn, Shakur Stevenson is looking like a world beater on the come-up. Called out somebody who was called out Warrington in his post-fight. Let's calm down. You know, you're young. You've shown excellent skills. Let's continue to bring him up. You know, that was only his 10th fight. And he scored a, what was it? Round 4 stoppage, 129 in the 4th round. And Vikas Krishan, quick change subject. Somebody told me I should really look at this guy. He looked good. Got a TKO in the 2nd round. The Indian Tank, as they called him. I'll have to pay attention and keep an eye out for him as well. Back to Shakur Stevenson. The kid's got talent. Sky looks to be the limit for him right now. I'm curious as to I remember on the Shobox card they said Ruben Villa actually had a win over Shakur Stevenson in the amateurs. That'd be an interesting fight to see how they do against each other in the pros down the line. Just continue to bring them up. That's a fight that storylines there, you can build it up. But on the DAZN card, Demetrius Andrade got the win over Artur Akavov in round 12. Weak stoppage. Didn't like the stoppage, but hey, what are you going to do? Andrade called out Gennady Golovkin. I mean, good for him doing that. They've got the Danny Jacobs and Canelo fight that just got signed, so 160 is a poppin' division. Get your name out there. Wasn't, you know, just a purely, like, flashy highlight reel performance, but he came out there, he boxed smart for 12 rounds, he kept behind his jab, he didn't overcommit. I mean, there wasn't a lot of fat on the performance, but there also, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of flash, but he clearly dominated the fight, so hats off to him. I look forward to seeing, maybe he could fight Big Charlo down the line. I think that could be an interesting matchup, but different promotions and such. The Golovkin fight, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing that, but we'll see where he goes. Huge upset. Pablo Cesar Cano stopped Jorge Linares in the 1st round, dropped him 3 times. I mean, he sunned him. This was, he just shellacking. Pablo Cesar Cano appeared to just be the much larger man. Took it to him. Hats off to him. That's a big win. I think somebody was saying before the fight, his father was talking to him about retiring, but this gets him a favorable matchup in the future. Gets him back in there against the top guy. 248 in the 1st round. Dropped him 3 times. Ref stopped it after he seen a combination wobble Linares. That's a huge loss for Linares and a big win for Pablo Cesar Cano. So hats off to him there. TJ Donaghy, TKO 11 over Rohei Takashi. Was in and out parts of this fight. I had some things to attend to Friday that popped up out of nowhere. Family stuff. Couldn't avoid it. Yeah, you know, not bad performance. Dropped him early. Clear-cut win for him. I'll be interested in seeing what they do with both those guys. Chris Algieri gets a decision over Daniel Gonzalez. 10-round unanimous decision. Some people question the scoring on that one. Again, I was kind of in and out on this card. I like Algieri, though. He's a nice guy. He's trained some of the UFC fighters that I follow closely. So, you know, I'm always happy for Algieri. But Amanda Serrano, holy shit, stopped Ava Forward. Yeah, I'm not going to butcher that name. 7th world title. What are you going to say? The competition does have a different skill set as in men's boxing, but 7-division world champion, no matter what. That's a huge achievement. Came out there, wrecked her. Was a huge favorite. You know, everybody expected this kind of a result. Maybe not that dramatic, but they expected her to win. Hats off to Amanda Serrano, making herself a legend in women's boxing. 7-division champ. I mean, that's a good accolade to have by your name, no matter what. But moving on from Friday night's fights. Last night, Henry Cejudo gave no fucks about TJ Dillashaw being the bantamweight champion. Did not care. Came out, took the center of the cage, threw some kicks to keep him kind of corralled in front of him, and lit him up. Just 32 seconds TKO stoppage. And if you read my preview, I said that this was a distinct possibility. TJ is hittable. I know people say, oh, you know, he moves so well in the pocket and he controls strikes out and he's got such great striking. Yeah, but he's hittable. He's draining and depleting his body of more. I don't care if the weight cut was easy. You know, he said did it over 12 weeks, wasn't a problem. The older you get and the more weight you cut, the more it affects your performance. We can't prove and say for certain that this definitely affected his ability to take a shot in this fight, but I mean, what are you going to say? It was a 32-second fight. Congrats to Henry Cejudo. Probably bought the flyweight division some goodwill. Got a conspiracy theory going in my head. It's like maybe they're building up the flyweight division with all the controversy around possibly canceling the division. So you get your tinfoil hats on there. But yeah, huge win for Henry Cejudo, defending flyweight champ now, gold medalist. I talked about a lot of the potential of what he could do leading into this fight. You know, only 6 or so years in his MMA career. He's got a lot going for him. And TJ Dillashaw, personally, I'd like to see him go back to 35, fight the winner of Moraes and Assunção. You know, there's the trade. It's like, you know, he risks losing to a guy in another division that's not his own. He's not losing his belt, but then at the same time, his belt is sitting there, and there's guys in that division who want to, you know, compete for it. I say, though, Moraes and Assunção winner is a clear-cut #1 contender at 135, and I'd really like to see that fight because I think Marlon Moraes could beat him, so I want to get proven wrong. Because, you know, I am a big fan of TJ Dillashaw. But he seemed a little too cocky. It seemed a little bit too much of a, can he become the 4th champ? And I'm like, dropping all of that weight, his attitude about the division, and the way he was talking about, oh yeah, well, I'm going to go up to 45 and challenge Max Holloway next. It's like, slow your roll, man. You know, you got a division, go back to it. You know, it's just, you can't take another stoppage like that. Yeah, he only took a few hits in that fight, you know, but they were clean. He got rocked 3-4 times in a very quick succession. Draining your body like that and then taking that kind of brain damage is the kind of stuff that adds up. I mean, we look at Roy Jones Jr. after he came back down from heavyweight in his career, you know, just that drastic weight cut really affected his performance, really took it out on his reflexes. You know, we look at some of these other fighters who had extreme weight cut problems early on in their careers, and it's all of a sudden they start falling off. We don't want to see him take a whole lot out of his body when, you know, he's only 32. He can have several more years doing this. Side note, isn't it weird he's never won 5 fights in a row? He's 1-4, lost, 1-4, lost, 1-4, lost. I mean, it seems like kind of a pattern here. But yeah, I'd like to see him go back to 35, and I'd really like to see Henry Cejudo face Joseph Benavidez. I think that fight builds itself. Yeah, people are in the super fight era. They only want the biggest and best matchup. You know, I like seeing these guys defend their titles because it's good for the division. It helps to build it up. Really want to see Cejudo trying to avenge that loss against Benavidez. Benavidez looked phenomenal. I'll talk about him a little bit more in a bit. But, yeah, TJ, go back to 35. Take on one of your title contenders. There's no reason to drop all that weight. I know he said he felt great. He was the most scientific weight cut in MMA history, but it's not benefiting him to drop all of that weight. I just, you know, he's a very thick guy at 35. He's not the biggest bantamweight, but he's very thick. You know, he's filled out his frame well, and drawing every little bit of extra water that you can find here and there to make 25 doesn't make any sense. But enough on that. I'm only going to briefly mention the co-main event because I couldn't give a shit about this fight, just being 100% honest. Greg Hardy loses by disqualification to Alan Crowder. Hardy's tremendously and just massively inexperienced and underskilled to be performing on that stage at this level. So that's all I got to say about that fight. Greg Gillespie, real smart, articulate guy in his post-fight interview, has some great wrestling, just ground down Yancy Medeiros with the control, and as soon as he smelt the opening, he went and finished the fight. That's 6 in a row for him in the UFC, 5 consecutive stoppages. I'd like to see him fight somebody towards the bottom end of the top 15. You know, there's the Dan Hookers, which I don't think he'll be fighting anytime soon. See James Vicks down there, Islam Makhachev. You know, any one of those guys that is like right outside the top 15 or right at the bottom of the top 15, I'd be totally fine seeing him match up against. He's very cognizant of where he stands in the division. He seems to be very has the game plan of smartly building himself up and winning fights and going forward. So I'm curious to see what Gregor Gillespie does moving forward. You know, he is a must-watch fighter. A lot of people are comparing him to Khabib Nurmagomedov in the way he's able to control and stifle people with grappling. And, you know, I don't think those comparisons are too far off, but we have to see what he does against gradually better competition. Is he going to burst into that level of stardom and performance quality? But also, let me switch back to my notes here. Joseph Benavidez, yeah. God, that was a slick grappling match. Dustin Ortiz, this was a rematch. They fought a number of years ago. Dustin Ortiz looked to be very sharp on the feet, but Benavidez proved he's like, hey, I can crack. So where Ortiz may have been a little bit more technical, Benavidez, he throws a little bit harder shots and can be really sneaky with that overhand left and that kind of like chopping right hook. The grappling exchanges in this were phenomenal. If you're a fan of grappling, you know, I think you would have really enjoyed that fight. So hats off to Joseph Benavidez. I said, you know, I hope he gets the shot against Henry Cejudo moving forward. Dustin Ortiz, you know, if they keep flyweight around, he's one of those guys that can be a hard matchup for anybody. But quickly, Paige Van Zandt defeats Rachel Ostovich. It was a bit slow at the start of the fight. Then these two really started going at each other in the grappling. Ostovich has a pretty good right hand. She clipped Van Zandt with it a few times, but just doesn't have a certain level of composure. As soon as Van Zandt got an opportunity, she went to work and stopped the fight. It was like a minute and 50 into the second round. So Van Zandt clearly still has some gaping holes in her game, but she is a fun fighter. She can seize the opportunity for a finish when she either creates the window for it or it stumbles upon her, like in this fight. But yeah, you know, hats off to both these women. As far as a showcase for the flyweight division and trying to build Paige Van Zandt back up after some tough losses, or even make a star out of Ostovich. I don't see either one of these girls becoming a title contender or making that elite of the division, but they'll be in some good, fun scraps. That's what I can say there. And Glover Teixeira came back from a couple of illegal elbows. Some of them were clean elbows, some of them were illegal, but he was close to getting stopped against Carl Roberts. Carl Roberts got submitted by Cesar Ferreira a fight or two ago, and I was like, I see Glover very much, you know, man-strengthening him, and that's what he did. He survived the scare, took him down, got on top, went for the arm triangle once, gave it up to get better position, went for it again, and Carl Roberts tapped pretty quickly. Great fight. And Donald Cerrone, most winning fighter in UFC history, most wins out of guys. If memory serves right, he's got most or second most wins out of people who compete in the UFC, WEC, Pride, Strikeforce. I mean, the guy is the gunslinger of the UFC. I mean, had his first fight at UFC 126 in 2011. That was the Anderson Silva Vitor Belfort card. 40th Zuffa fight, as he said, you know, beforehand. I mean, this was as to quote Zane Simon, it's like a prospect loss. He said, you know, classic prospect submission loss. But here, Cerrone just shit-kicked him. You know, he came out there, he's like, I can beat this kid. You know, Alexander Hernandez, no knock on him. He's got great athleticism. You know, he's got good strength, good power. You know, knew to drive the aggression. But this was just, there's levels to this. And Cerrone, skill set-wise, is many levels above Alexander Hernandez. And, you know, it was a little bit like watching a kid get beat up by his dad. But, you know, that's a little bit of bias on me because I got to meet Donald Cerrone a few years ago, and big fan of his, long time. I'm glad to see him get this win. I like that Conor McGregor fight. I like it. You know, Conor really isn't deserving of the immediate rematch that they want to give him. So if they wanted to throw him in there against Donald Cerrone and have just a fucking great fight for the fans and generate some buzz, I mean, I'm all for that matchup. Cerrone's a company guy. Let him have that. This would be undoubtedly the biggest payday of his career if they fought. That's, you know, not saying it's going to happen, but if Cerrone and McGregor fought, that fight sells itself. The highlight reels, the promo package they could put together. Oh, it would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, Alexander Hernandez will be back. This was a classic, hey, young up-and-coming kid trying to take advantage of an aging fighter. You know, there were some points where it's like you see in that first round when they're kind of going at it, Cerrone wasn't as quick and he wasn't as agile, but he is just game. He's tough. He knows the sport. So, you know, hats off to him. I can't wait to see him fight again. I really hope they make that McGregor fight because at this point, trying to win against the number 8 guy, and then the number 7 guy, and then the number 5 guy, you know, it might be a bit too late in Cerrone's career to make a run like that. But fighting Conor McGregor, making a bunch of money, and, you know, hey, I'm for it. Jojo Calderwood beat Ariane Lipski. Sorry. Talk fast, talk a lot. My mouth gets a little dry. Yeah, you know, this was... Calderon came out and got hit by some hard shots and was like, fuck this. Took Lipski down, dominated her on the ground in the first round. Came out in the second. Lipski was much more tentative, started putting the striking together, and then Lipski, trying to take advantage and the top control in the last round, almost got submitted a few times. She's a youngster. She doesn't have a lot of experience. These are the kind of fights very much like the Donald Cerrone fight and the Glover Shear fight. You know, there's different experience levels, different technical levels. So hats off to Joanne Calderwood. I'd like the Jessica Eye fight, but Dana White already said Jessica Eye's getting the next shot at Valentina Shevchenko. So we'll see what JoJo Calderwood has coming up for her next. And if I look at women's strawweight, if my computer will stop being stupid. Come on. All right. Let's see. Women's flyweight. Andrea Lee, Jennifer Maya, Jessica Rose Clark. Wouldn't do the Modafferi fight. Liz Carmouche, maybe. I mean, there's some good matchups that can be made for Joanne Calderwood. But also, back to the event itself. Big win for her. Alonzo Menfield just came out and knocked Vinicius Moore out. I mean, this is a clear skill and athleticism difference on the feet. Not a lot to say about that fight. Nice knockout, though. Corey Sandhagen looking like a young Carlos Condit. I'd like to see that John Lineker fight. Damn, that would be sick. Corey Sandhagen, yeah, people talking about him. I see why. You know, Brendan Schaub spoke highly of him. I think TJ was speaking highly of him. TKO 331 of the first round. Very much look forward to his next fight. Dennis Bermudez upset. Well, I don't really know what to say. Upset. But defeated T. Edwards and then retired. Been a fan of Bermudez going back to when he was on The Ultimate Fighter. I mean, nice guy, hard worker, in some great fights. His fight with Matt Grice. He has a win over Max Holloway. Controversial or not, I thought it was a bad decision, but hey, you know what are you going to do? Good win for Dennis Bermudez. T. Edwards really looks like he hasn't figured out how to fight outside of, hey, I'm going to go out here and knock this guy out in a couple minutes. So he's clearly got a lot of work to do if he wants to make a run at being an elite UFC competitor, mixed martial artist. Geoff Neal beat the shit out of Bella Muhammad. Remember the name? Yeah, they're going to be remembering Neal's name going forward. Yeah, he never overcommitted on the feet. He would just land the nice left hand, come in behind a good 1-2, go in, and then as soon as Bella Muhammad started coming forward, he would take a step back, press, take a step back. It was a very effective striking performance by him, and Muhammad's got a hell of a chin on him. I mean, he took some shots, took that head kick, made it through. I'd very much look forward to Neal's next performance. I'd seen his fights before, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, he's not bad, but yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. Let's see what we got going on at welterweight. Outside that, I don't know if anybody in the top 10 would be right for him. I'd have to really look deep on the roster, but you know, fight with Santiago Ponzinibbio wouldn't be bad. But I don't think they do that. A little bit difference in the status at the moment and rankings, blah blah blah. Cowboy Oliveira, maybe. I don't know. We'll see where he goes. But, and then Chance, Rin counter, defeated Kyle Stewart, submission, exchange some punches, takedown, tap out. You know, not much to say about that. It was a quick submission. He was like, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and try and bang it out with you on the feet. Took him down, got a submission. Congrats. So, big takeaways from this. Haney, Vila, looking solid. Bout Jack lost. Oh my god, yeah. Hold on, let me go to the Manny Pacquiao fight. Marcus Brown dominated Bout Jack. Scorecards 116, 111, 117, 110, 119, 108. I mean, I've been watching Bout Jack since he was kind of like a dark horse at 168. Yeah, that's a big win for Marcus Brown. Have to go and watch that fight in depth and review round by round, really see what I can pick up on Brown. And, of course, Manny Pacquiao defeats Adrian Broner 116-112 two times and 111 to 110. Sorry, I wrote down my scorecards on that. Funny. Yeah, it was a classic Broner performance. Talk loud, talk big, talk about being great, get your ass kicked. And, you know, if he wasn't such a punching bag in this fight, I'd be more hyped about where Manny Pacquiao's going forward. But it's you know, I'm so tired of hearing Mayweather. I really think that they just shuffle him around these fight cards is like for the fucking clout of it. I really have no interest in seeing Mayweather fight Manny unless this is just like, hey, you're an older fighter, I'm an older fighter, we both could use, you know, a big money paycheck. And people still pay to watch it. I wouldn't, but I'd probably find a stream or go to a bar and something if I had nothing better to do that day. But, yeah, you know, does Manny Pacquiao want to take a kind of like a fun, well, maybe not, that wouldn't be fun to watch, unless you're, you know, a real big boxing nerd. You know, does he take a big money fight, or does he try and take on one of these young up-and-coming guys in the division? Because I think Crawford beats him. I think Errol Spence beats him. If he doesn't get chin-checked by Keith Thurman, he maybe outbox Keith Thurman. Sean Porter would be kind of a similar fight to the Jeff Horn fight. You know, it's really... Does he want to mix it up with the top dogs in the division? But, you know, he showed he could piece up Adrian Broner, and Sean Porter pieced up Adrian Broner a while back. So, you know, who knows? He's 40 years old, and we'll see what happens. I kind of like that Terrence Crawford fight. But Crawford's set to fight Khan. Errol Spence is fighting Mikey Garcia. Maybe if, as I do this transition here, maybe if Keith Thurman does Josecito Lopez next week, they could PBC up that matchup. Which brings me just a real quick top at the bottom. Devin Haney, Caleb Plant, Ruben Vila, Oscar Rivas, Shakur Stevenson, Vikas Krishna, Algieri Serrano, Donahue, Pablo Cesar Cano, Demetrius Andrade, Henry Cejudo, Cowboy, Van Zant. All big winners. I look forward to seeing how all these... Because, you know, I've watched just about every fight that I can find on television these days. It's a lot to digest and look forward to, but I will be very excited to see who they match up these guys with next. So just in some fun fight news before I go into a small preview for next weekend's fights. I had some... interesting things jotted down. Dimitri Bivol signs with Matchroom DAZN. He's going to fight Joe Smith Jr. That should be an interesting fight. Bivol was on HBO before HBO collapsed. Excuse me, I have a runny nose. I got to wipe it real quick. Sorry, that's gross. But, yeah, Justin Gaethje and Edson Barboza set to face at UFC Philly March 30th. I like that fight. Think somebody's either going to get a leg cut off from leg kicks, or somebody's getting smooth, just flatline, knocked the fuck out. Weird matchup. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's taking on Anthony Showtime Pettis in the headliner of UFC Nashville, March 23rd. Odd matchup, but okay. Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting if the size difference isn't, you know, just overwhelming. As I mentioned briefly, Terrence Crawford versus Amir Khan on August 20th, unknown location. Bud Crawford fighting on 420. I see what y'all guys are doing there. No, this matchup, I mean, everybody's like, why are they doing this matchup? This is an easy win for Crawford. Yes, I agree. I think Crawford knocks him out. And the speed difference will be kind of confusing at first because Khan's speed kind of confuses everybody. But I think Crawford knocks him out, if not TKOs him. But Amir Khan is a recognizable name. A lot of people have seen his, bottle trick with him punching. So this is an opportunity to get Crawford a little bit of international exposure because the people in the UK love Amir Khan. I'm just saying that. I don't really know. I'm just assuming. Seems to be a well enough liked guy. And Khan loses, he can fight Kell Brook if, Kell Brook still cares about the fight. I know that's a big fight that they've been talking about for the UK. Yeah, I got Crawford easily in that fight. Darren Till versus Jorge Masvidal set for UFC London, March 16th. And Leon Edwards versus Gunnar Nelson. Bit of a step down recognition-wise for Leon Edwards, but a win over Nelson inches him closer to a title shot. That was a really good card. Hold on, let me CFC events. Till versus Masvidal. Jack Marshman, Claudio Silva, Gokhan Saki, Volkan Oezdemir, and Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes, a fantastic fighter, future top guy at 205. Really interested in that fight. But yeah, Leon Edwards I think should win this as long as he can keep Gunnar Nelson at a distance. Also, Miguel Burchell and Francisco Vargas 2 rematch set for March 23rd. The first fight was fun. I think Burchell beats up Vargas again, but no, I'll watch. Jussier Formiga and Figueroa Davison on March 23rd. Also at UFC Nashville. That's a fun fight. As I mentioned, Dominic Reyes taking on Volkan Oezdemir. I think Reyes wins a clear-cut decision, or he might get a TKO win. Oezdemir is no joke. He's a tough guy, so I don't jump on Reyes finishing him. But I think Reyes can get that, can get it done. Big news: Canelo Alvarez taking on Danny Jacobs at 160 on May 4th. I really like this fight. I expressed the last time I talked that I didn't really care too much for the third Golovkin fight. I think, Golovkin wins, obviously a huge payoff, but if he loses again, drops the stock down even more. Also, they've been taking chunks out of each other in those two fights, so I like this matchup. Jacobs is, to me, best fight that they could have made outside of Golovkin. He's a big, strong guy. Gave Golovkin one of his toughest fights outside the Canelo fights. So yeah, I very much like this fight. I think Canelo can take it because Jacobs has been dropped several times. I don't want to say he's been dropped a few times, notably, but it's boxing, people get dropped. But I think if Canelo boxes smart, he can win. But if Jacobs was to win, hey, I mean, that's perfectly fine by me. I really like this fight, though. Some rumor news. I know I'm kind of running down here quick, but I'm already 30-something minutes in, and I don't have a whole lot of record time. But Jose Aldo says he wants to fight 3 times in 2019, then retire. I'm perfectly fine with that. And Jose Aldo is a legend. He's had a storied career. Number 1, if depending on how Max Holloway does, you could say he's the. I still say he's the greatest featherweight of all time. But, yeah, he's got a tough fight against Renato Moicano coming up, so we'll see how that goes. A lot of fighters' retirement talks or retirements are just as common as comebacks in fight sports, as somebody once said. Where will Triple G go now that this Canelo fight on DAZN's been signed? I haven't heard any rumors today. I mean, I've been a little bit off the grid as far as fight news today. But we'll see what is next for Triple G. I want to see him fight again. I don't care where he goes. I want to see Triple G fight. Wilder Fury rumored to be by June. AJ White says Anthony Joshua says his promoter Eddie Hearn says we should see his next matchup, maybe by next week. I think they do Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte, time it in a similar time frame as the Fury Wilder 2 fight. Build it up, winners face off. I mean, that's just, it's my little opinion about it. Luke Rockhold is talking some mad shit, talking about going to 205. Oh, sorry, trying to bring up one of my. Deal with that in a second. I like Rockhold at 205. Doesn't have to cut all that weight. I'd like to see him against the Alexander Gustafssons, the John Joneses. Don't know if he can make competitive fights against those guys if he doesn't fix the problem with him getting chin checked. He's got some holes in his defensive striking. As far as, a little bit of lack of head movement, drawing straight back too much. But I am interested in seeing Rockhold at 205. All right, yeah, I'm just going to have to give it up. Tiffany Van Zoost, in other news, set to fight for her former title at Glory 63, which is what I'm trying to pull up right now, but my computer is not wanting to work with me, so 1 second. Oh, damn it. Sorry, guys. Just give me 1 second. I know this is like the worst professionalism ever, but come on, 2019 Glory. Come on. Okay, yes. Glory 63, Houston. We got, where is it? Oh, no, it's apparently somebody's putting it in Glory 64. My bad. Anissa Mikasa versus Tiffany Van Zoost, the woman who took the title from her back a year or two back. So that's an interesting matchup, but that's about it for rumors and news. Now I'm going to jump a little bit to the upcoming fights. Next weekend we have Bellator MMA. Bellator 214, the final bout of the Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix. Fedor Emelianenko taking on Ryan Bader. Also on the card, Aaron Pico. Top guy, you hear the name Aaron Pico. Check out some highlights on YouTube, wherever the heck you might find it. Kid got brought in by Freddie Roach to help train Miguel Cotto, apparently. And if Freddie Roach is bringing you in to train with Miguel Cotto, you got some skills. So keep an eye out for Aaron Pico. As far as Fedor and Ryan Bader, Fedor tooled Chael Sonnen, but that was, Chael Sonnen has fought at middleweight and is way past his physical best days, so can't really say I was surprised by that. Ryan Bader has been chinned in the past. He has got his clocks clean. But if he avoids the power early from Fedor, I think he wears him down and either stops him late in the fight or gets a clear-cut, dominant, unanimous decision. But I'll try and do another episode later this week to break down that fight a little bit more in depth as far as like stats and all that jazz, which I didn't get around to doing this week for all these fights. My bad. Transitioning over to boxing, if my computer will stop being a whore. Okay, so also Saturday the 26th, which, oh yeah, you can find Bellator 214 on Paramount Network on television or DAZN. DAZN's $9.99 a month. You get Canelo Alvarez, you get Anthony Joshua fights, you get, it's a good all-around. You get boxing, MMA. If you're a fight fan, $10 a month, it's not so bad. I got DAZN, Fight Pass, and ESPN Plus. All that together cost me maybe like $28 a month. It's not bad at all if you're a fan of fights, or if you just want to catch some other obscure sports. ESPN Plus has like football and baseball and hockey and all that other shit, which I really don't care about. I just want to watch the fights. So, Fox Sports, Saturday, January 26th, Keith Thurman is making his return against Josecito Lopez. This is a squash match. They want an opportunity to showcase Keith Thurman because he hasn't fought in a while, and he should knock Josecito Lopez out pretty easily, but he was getting tuned up a little bit by Luis Collazo a few years ago, but I think Keith Thurman stops Josecito Lopez within 7 rounds. I got some weird notification on my phone. Oh, damn it. That's why it's hard to do this with your cell phone on Facebook, because somebody sends you a message and it interrupts your feed. Rude. Anyway, also Saturday on DAZN, Jamie Munguia takes on Takashi Inoue. Mungai's, I mean, he's an up and comer. He's a future title holder, I believe. Actually, he has a title right now. There's a lot of bright hopes for Jamie Munguia, and this could be a big blowout showcase fight for him on DAZN, or it could be. It's probably going to be a blowout showcase for him. But let me see if there's some interesting undercard bouts on that so far. That will be the WBO junior middleweight title. At least that's what they have listed. Don't see any undercard bouts announced on that on the page that I'm on. You know, don't get me twisted. I could be wrong. And Keith Thurman is defending his WBA welterweight title. Says also on the Keith Thurman bout. Evening, Adam Kownacki, fast rising star in the heavyweight division, steps up U.S. Navy veteran and USC football star Gerald Washington. I remember Gerald Washington. He gave Deontay Wilder some fits, throwing a good, clean jab. But, yeah, you know, this is such a time for fight sports. I could go on and just pick apart and talk about different matchups for hours on end, but as I've said, I don't have a lot of recording time for SoundCloud, which you can find that there. You can find this on YouTube. I'll have it up on the channel. Everything on Twitter at Martial Art Talk. On Facebook, Martial Arts Talk. YouTube page, Martial Arts Talk. Easy to follow. And if you want to message me personally, you can follow me on my little Twitter page that I also have at JimCracken93. This has been Martial Arts Talk Podcast. Fight Sports, January 11th to January 19th, Roundup. I am your host, and I am signing off, guys. Cheers.